Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
So we're live streaming in case people want to know. We're going to begin with Shalom Aleichem. Hello, goodbye, peace to all of you. And if you have a fat book, it's a page 142. And if you have a thin book, it's page 24.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem LeShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni LeShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem LeShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
And to light our candles, pages 120 or 2, we call up Lori Magnus.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
And the Kiddush is page 123 and 5.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uv'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit. Ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh, zecher litziat Mitzrayim. Ki vanu varcharta, ve'atanu kidashta, mikol ha'onim, ve'shabbat kodecha, ve'ahavat uv'ratzon, Incheltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, HaKadosh HaShabbat. Amen.
Vintage 2022. So our Torah portion this week is Ki Tavo, when you enter into the land. And it begins with the first fruit ceremony. farmers were obligated to bring the first fruits of their harvest to the temple every year in recognition of the land's fertility and in thanks to God. Rabbi Mel Gottlieb explains, the blessing of the first fruits is an act of gratitude. It teaches us that the trait of gratitude is one of the most essential characteristics to return to the beauty of God's world and God's love. We're commanded to bless God in gratitude for all that the Creator has bestowed upon us. Our first fruits, the freshness of life, the truth of newness and renewal. This discipline of gratitude, of recognizing all our gifts, is the secret to self-love. Alternatively, if we allow our own self-criticalness to dominate us, we feel that we are so bad that God cannot possibly forgive us. So we don't even think of doing teshuvah or returning. Our guilt and shame trip us up, and we cannot conceive of a mercy great enough to pardon our sins. As the Talmud says, sin dulls the heart of human beings. Self-flagellation, the attitude of an eye for an eye, says Gandhi, makes the whole world blind. And our second song is a Kitavo Haaretz, a Yemenite song that Elliott found, which has to do with our Torah portion.
Ki tavo el haaretz, ונתתם כל עץ תחילה, ונתן העץ פריו, והארץ יראה. את לינתו האילנות, את לינתו האילנות, את לינתו האילנות. When you come to the land and plant a tree, then the tree shall bear fruit and feed the soil. You shall be like a tree by the waters. You shall know that the land is yours. Et linto ailanot, et linto ailanot, et linto ailanot.
Rabbi Jonathan Sachs sums up the Torah portion for this week as follows. Moses, speaking to the Israelites, warns, "For 40 years you and your parents wandered in the wilderness. They were hard times, years without a home, when only by a series of miracles did you have anything to eat or drink. Now you have reached the brink of the promised land. You think this will be the end of your challenges, but it will not be. To the contrary, it is here that the challenge will begin. And it will be the hardest of all because it will not look like a challenge. When you eat and are satisfied, when you build fine houses and settle down, when your herds and flocks grow large and your silver and gold increase, when all you have is multiplied, it is then you must beware lest your heart become proud and you forget God who brought you out of Egypt and into the land that you are about to enter." As Rabbi Sachs explains, with a vision extending beyond the furthest reaches of the horizon, Moses gives voice to the most counterintuitive message imaginable. And it came true. The greatest challenge is not slavery, but freedom, not poverty, but affluence, not danger, but security, not homelessness, but home. The paradox is that when we have most to thank God for, that is when we are in greatest danger of not thanking, not even thinking of God at all. The Chatzi Kaddish is page 263 and 145.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, וילמד יברח חירותי וימליך מלכותי. בחייכנו ביום אחד, ובחיי לכל בית ישראל. בגלה, בגלה, ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, יתפאר ויתרומן ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתהלל, ויתהלל שמי לקודשה, בריחו לאלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמה, ואמרו אמן.
We rise for the Baruch, page 264 and 146.
La 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 la
Please be seated. And this is called The Beginning by Rachel Kahn. If you could still find stillness, the jasmine will night bloom in your direction, and the breeze will carry its sacred exhalation of perfume toward you. Breathe. The moon will cascade waves of radiance downward, drop her silver robes glow. You will awaken, overtaken by a love that asks no permission, golden particles rising beneath your skin. All of existence longs to be an offering. Eternity is a constant whisper, wishing to be listened to. This is the beginning. This is only the beginning. Let it in. Ahavat Olam is on page 266 and 148.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, תורת ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו למדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו, בשוכבנו ובקומנו, נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ומצוותיך לעולם ועד, כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם מונגה יומם ולילה.
And we rise for the Shema, page 267 and 149, and this is an Elliott Levine composition.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai
Please be seated and please join Carol Lee in the Ve'ahavta, page 268 and 150.
Everybody, please join me. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ela asher anochi mitzavcha hayom avodecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha b'derech u'v'shofecha u'v'kumecha u'kshatam le'ot ha'yadecha v'hayu l'totafot b'neinecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha l'man tizkaru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim le'Elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem. My pleasure.
This is The Journey by Mary Oliver. One day, you finally knew what you had to do and began, though the voices around you kept shouting their bad advice, though the whole house began to tremble and you felt the old tug at your ankles. Mend my life, each voice cried, but you didn't stop. You knew what you had to do, though the wind pried with its stiff fingers at the very foundations, though their melancholy was terrible. It was already late enough, and a wild night and the road full of fallen branches and stones. But little by little, as you left their voices behind, the stars began to burn through the sheets of clouds, and there was a new voice which you slowly recognized as your own, that kept you company as you strode deeper and deeper into the world, determined to do the only thing you could do, determined to save the only life you could save. The Michamocha is page 270 and 152.
Mi chamocha b'lim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nara tehilot osefele, nara tehilot osefele, malchutcha Hayam lifnei Moshe, Zeli, Zeli, Chanu ve'amru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai
And of course, we know that Michamocha was led by Miriam and the women. So this is called Miriam's Circle Dance by Rabbi Diane Elliott. Come, women, follow the circle of my tuf, my drum. Lie, 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 lie. Open wide the circles of your throats, and from the Mitzrayim, the narrow places of the body, your narrowest places, send free the sobs and laughter, sighs, groans, screams, 400 years of swallowed sounds. Lie, 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 lie. Stretch your spirits like pelvic bones in labor, widening to birth God's light. Lunge, squat, spiral, trace with stamping feet the mystic circle of inclusion, acknowledgement, and praise. Be the circle, expand your circumference, shrink to a single point. Ingest this different breath, this gust, exhilarating, searing as hot wind. Lie, 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 lie. Unleash at last the devastating longing that for all time glues us to the holy. Lie, 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 one. And Elliott has written a song to this very idea of Miriam leading the women.
Back in 2010, I wrote this song. It's a choral song, but I'm going to teach you the chorus part. And your part sounds like this. Shiru Shiru Ladonai means sing to God. So you're going to need your voice and your hands. Sometimes in Jewish sing-along, we only use our hands, but we're going to use our voices too. And that part sounds like Shiru Shiru Ladonai. Okay, with me. And go. Shiru Shiru Ladonai. Shiru Shiru Ladonai. Shiru Shiru Ladonai. Shiru Shiru Ladonai. So it's a really simple tune. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. With me once more. And you can sing it up here or down here. 2, 3. Shiru Shiru Ladonai. Shiru Shiru Ladonai. Shiru Shiru Ladonai. Shiru Shiru Ladonai. Now there's a part that comes after it. And we're going to have a fancy accompaniment played that Shaya is going to help us with. Louder. Miriam dancing with the women, timbrels ringing, circling round. Leader, prophet, and our sister lead us to the promised land. Shiru, Shiru, Ladonai. Shiru, Shiru, Ladonai. Shiru, Shiru, Ladonai. Shiru, Shiru, Ladonai. Miriam dancing with the women, timbrels ringing, circling round. Leader, prophet, and our sister lead us to our promised land. Miriam dancing with the women, timbrels ringing, circling round. Leader, prophet, and our sister lead us to the promised land. Miriam dancing with the women, timbrels ringing, circling round. Leader, prophet, and our sister lead us to the promised land. Shiru, Shiru, Ladonai. 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 Shiru, Shiru, Adonai. Shiru, 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 Adonai. Excellent, thank you.
And this is called Wild Geese by Mary Oliver. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. We rise for the tefillah, which begins on page 273 and 155.
Adonai sefetai tiftach u'fia gilat gilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu lebeimotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, v'Elohei Rachel, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומשיח ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב הושיע, מחלקל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך על גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום, יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
Please continue silently to page 285, and please be seated when you're done. Continue with Yehuyu L'Ratson, page 285 and 167.
עם רפי והגיון ליבי לפניך, אדוני צורי Tzori v'goali. Adonai tzori, tzori v'goali. Amen, amen, amen,
We take a moment now to think of those in need of healing, whether of body, of mind, or of spirit. We think of congregants and friends and family of congregants Jonathan Davidson, Ben Henderson, Kara Gilman, Rabbi Steve Robbins, Gloria Mangus, Leslie Ferris, Pamela Mangus, Johnny Sikat, Larry Miller, Martha Miller, Judy Richmond, Fernando Guerrero, Alan Edelman, Cordell Thomas, Ocean Joy Pace, Esther Bauman, Audrey Eller. Is anyone thinking of someone today and would like to mention a name?
Shivasai.
And on Zoom, let's see. Robin Kurland, Emmy Levine, Amy Morton, Kim Ko, Raul Camacho, Rabbi Mel Young. Anyone else? And please join us in the Misha Berach, which is Debbie Friedman's Misha Berach.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mekor habracha, lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
So we're in the month of Elul, which is the month preceding the new year of Tishrei. And we are supposed to read Psalm 27 every day. So I'm going to read Psalm 27, and last year I read a few of these interesting interpretations of some of the lines in here by Rabbi Deborah Robbins. So I'd like to share some of those with you tonight. So Psalm 27 of David. Adonai is my light and my victory. From whom should I feel fright? Adonai is the strength of my life. From whom should I feel terror? When evildoers approach me in battle to feed on my flesh, my pursuers, my adversaries, they have stumbled, they have fallen down. If a camp encamps against me, my heart will not fear. If a war arises against me, in this I would trust. One thing have I sought from Adonai, how I long for it, that I may live in the house of Adonai all the days of my life, that I may look upon the sweetness of Adonai and spend time in the palace, that you might hide me in your sukkah on a chaotic day, hide me in the hiding places of your tent, raise me high upon a rock. Now my head rises high above my enemies round about. And in your tent, I'll offer offerings to the sound of truah, one of the sounds of the shofar. I shall sing and chant praises to Adonai. Hear, Adonai, my voice. I am crying out. Be gracious to me, answer me. My heart has said to you, seek my face. I am seeking your face, Adonai. Do not hide your face from me. Do not turn your servant away in anger. You have been my help. Do not forsake me. Do not abandon me, God of my deliverance. For my father and my mother have abandoned me, yet Adonai gathers me up. Make your path apparent to me. Guide me in the upright road because of those up ahead who lie in wait for me. Do not hand me over to the lust of my adversaries, for false witnesses have risen against me, puffing violently. Had I not the faith that I would see the goodness of God in the land of life? Wait for Adonai. Fill your waiting with hope in Adonai. Let your heart be strong and of good courage, and wait hopefully for Adonai. So here's how Rabbi Deborah Robbins reads some of it. So this is a couple verses. When evildoers approach me in battle to feed on my flesh, my pursuers, my adversaries, they are mine. They have stumbled, they have fallen down. And she's focusing on Lee, they are mine. So she's written this kind of poem that's an interpretation. 5 times the first person plural, 5 times the first person singular pronoun is used in this one verse. Evildoers approach me. They threaten to feed on my flesh, my pursuers, my adversaries, Lee, they are mine. I read these words, hear the repetition, me, my, mine. And instantly I know these words, like the fears, are mine. What are the old narratives that pursue me? What are my adversaries, convictions, and habits that trap me in their grip? Which obstacles block my path, force me to run away or remain immobilized? My grief, my guilt, my old grudge, my addiction to something chemical or emotional, my competition with fellow workers, siblings, friends, neighbors, the stranger next to me at the gym, with myself, my fear of something new or something old. I need the fear with my denial of it. I feed the fear with my denial of it, with my avoidance of it. And so while it grows stronger, I become smaller, more broken. These pursuers and adversaries and obstacles, they are all mine. I know each one well. They are real and powerful, and now I want to overcome them. I name them in God's presence. Wherever I am, God shelters me, encourages me, raises me up. There are times when I do this work with others. United, we face an opposing camp, make war against a shared enemy, overcome an obstacle, but not now. This enemy is not an external threat. It is personal, emotional, and spiritual. It is here. My pursuers, my adversaries, I can name them all now. In this safe place, they are mine. So she's taking the idea of evildoers pursuing us, enemies pursuing us, as not an external fact, but an internal one, that we have our own internal enemies that stop us from feeling good about life, good about ourselves. And this is the kind of work that we are supposed to be doing now during the month of Elul, is really looking inside. And obviously, we have to make amends with people we've hurt, but we also have to make amends and heal ourselves, because we also hurt ourselves by having these old, what are the old tapes that the old narratives that we keep going on and on, that we feed ourselves with and that we really need to get out of. And, what are all the obstacles we put in our place so that we don't actualize ourselves? That wonderful poem by Mary Oliver about, I now know what I need to do. I need to be the person I am and not listen to all those voices. So that's one very important aspect of what we should be doing this month, and of course during the high holidays. Does anybody want to make any comments about that, or does it sound right to you? Anybody on Zoom want to say anything? Okay. If you do, please feel free to speak up and say, I don't agree with you, or yeah, that totally sounds right. Okay, so this is the word on a, the expression on a chaotic day, b'yom ra'ah. Of course, ra'ah means evil. So these are the verses that you might hide me in your sukkah on a chaotic day, hide me in the hiding places of your tent, raise me high upon a rock. She says, my teacher translates the phrase as chaotic day, though the more common translation is evil day. For me, there are bad days, even very bad days. And there is the worst day, unimaginable but real. The day my mother dies, the day my father is diagnosed with cancer, the day an accountant makes one bad choice and becomes homeless, the day a parent goes to prison for stealing fruit to feed the family, the day a soldier loses his legs for freedom, the day a teen in a dark place takes her life, the day kids on the street or at school are murdered by gunfire. The day, any day can be like this, disorderly, unplanned, painful beyond measure. I seek a safe place, a tent to shelter me, to hold the pain. I find a place to perch, a rock from which I can gain perspective, understanding, see a way through my confusion and anger. Night turns to day, darkness to light, chaos to hope, and maybe even peace. Empowered and emboldened by the cycle of holiness, I turn again to the sacred work of living, tall and strong in the face of obstacles and enemies. The chaotic days won't stop, and I won't stop either. I can try to make this day a good day, a satisfying day, a meaningful day, a holiday, a holy day, day after day after day. If you remember a couple of weeks ago in the Torah portion, the interpretation by this Sfat Emet, who is a Hasidic rabbi, was that every day, at every moment, we have the choice between blessing and curse. We can choose to see something as a blessing or a curse. And we can behave in such a way that we are a blessing or a curse. We have the choice at every single moment. And as she says, there are days that are horrible, right? Suddenly someone you love drops dead out of nowhere. One of my colleagues, I was working with a young man, and I actually was on his Beit Din when he converted to Judaism. And he went down to Brazil to visit some family, and he got killed by a stray bullet that was gangs shooting each other. You don't know, all of a sudden, some horrible thing happens. And luckily we do have the resilience to pick ourselves up again. Doesn't mean we don't feel the pain. We have to feel the pain. And I know most of us in here have had at least one of these experiences of very painful days. And you have to feel the pain. And then you have to say, how do I move forward? And how do I transform this pain into something that might be a blessing on some level, right? People whose kids are killed by gunfire sometimes advocate for gun laws, right? And you can turn your painful experience into something that might actually help someone else. And you also need a safe place to feel the pain. You can't just avoid it. And hopefully, this is a place where you can feel that. And I know there are people in here hurting right now, right? And you have to give yourself the chance to feel that. There's no way around it. And then you feel the love of your community surrounding you, letting you know that it's okay and that there's a future. So this one is just breath. Bifeach Hamas. Do not hand me over to the lust of my adversaries, for false witnesses have risen against me, puffing violently. And she's focusing on the breath, puffing violently, right? Now, our souls are actually the breath of God, right? God blew into this dust or earth and created a human being. So our souls are divine. And so here we have the word Hamas, okay, which is violence. So she says, Noah's world was filled with Hamas, with senseless violence. hateful, destructive words, acts of human cruelty and thoughtlessness. An ancient era flooded with people living, breathing, puffing violently, gasping for breath. This world too overflows with Hamas. Aggression and oppression, greed and cruelty rise up as waters to poison the air, destroy life. Breath, the essence of humanity, when erratic, distorts perspective, paralyzes the body, strangles the soul. On every continent, adversaries rise up with hate, enemies pledged to destroy. In every city, bruised bodies in homes, raging violence in streets. Love, justice, respect, truth, all in short supply. But it wasn't always this way. The breath that God puffed gently, generously into the first human being was creative, full of potential, worthy of celebration. Not just good, but very good. Maybe it doesn't have to be this way. I place my hand on my chest, feel my lungs fill and empty. The breath comes in and goes out, constant and automatic, beyond my control, and yet responsive to my demands. Short and fast, with rage or fear, deep and slow to nourish, inspire, energize. Breath that sustains is steady, even, ancient. It floods the body with its power to agitate, animate. This is the breath I need to stand against the flood. Breath given as a gift, mine, ours, to breathe back into the world, to flood with holiness. It's not enough, but it is a place to start. Remember, just breathe. And just breathing and focusing on your breath can sometimes get you out of a very painful place. In fact, meditating, a lot of times you focus on your breath, in and out. Taking in breath from the world, you're giving back CO2 or whatever. But it's, we're constantly in relationship with the rest of the world, with God. We're not alone. Shema, we're all connected, right? We're all one. And finally, this is wait, hope, begin. Connected to kaveh, the kaveh. Wait for Adonai, fill your waiting with hope in Adonai, let your heart be strong and of good courage, and wait hopefully for Adonai. As you know, tikva, hope, tikva is the name of the Israeli national anthem. Wait, hope more, wait and wait. I'm always waiting. Hope and hope, I'm always hoping. But now it's time to begin. Just 5 minutes at a time, and then another 5 minutes, and another, and another. Waiting takes time, and it's how hope works. Waiting can be filled with something: praying, singing, listening, noticing, hoping. Hoping can be filled with something useful: healing, fulfilling, soul-filling. What if I do something in addition to waiting and hoping? What if I engage in God's world rather than retreat from it? What if I follow the remedy the rabbis of the Talmud prescribe? Engage in Torah, do a mitzvah. Prayer can be helpful, but when it comes to waiting and hoping, sometimes it's not enough. What if I just begin and do something, anything? Roll up my sleeves, open my wallet, muster the energy to help others, even when I feel burdened myself. I'm done just waiting. I'm done just hoping. I have to begin because someone else is waiting, hopefully, for me to do something. But before I begin, I have to ask God one thing: what are you waiting for? And as I continue to wait and hope, I have to ask myself one thing too: am I ready to begin? And this is a good lead into the announcements, because my high holiday, do you want to do the announcements? Okay, let me just, you can if you want, or I wanted to just sort of lead into the fact that I'm going to have a theme this year for my 4 sermons, and it's the Garden of Eden. And the first sermon on Rosh Hashanah Eve is going to be about hope. And she captures this very well here, because hope is something that is a choice. Hoping is not optimism, like everything's going to be okay. Hope is, what am I going to do to make it better? And it has to be followed by action, which is what she says here. Sometimes when you're feeling really blue, if you get up and do something, you will feel better. And especially if you get up and do something for another person, then that a lot of times makes you feel very full. So the other thing is, just as horrible things can happen very suddenly, wonderful things can also happen very suddenly. So we have to be open to those possibilities. And a lot of times we don't notice, right? We're so consumed with whatever is going on inside us that we don't notice, ooh, hey, there's a beautiful flower. There's a beautiful sunset. There's a nice person doing something very sweet for a child. I mean, there's all that stuff going on that we don't pay attention to. I'm guilty of it too, so I'm not preaching to you, I'm preaching to myself as well. Well, Sandy, if you'd like to come up and read the announcements, you're more than welcome to. Here they are. You don't have to, but you are welcome to. Just make sure you speak into the mic, because otherwise it doesn't translate to the people on Zoom.
The theme of Rabbi Singer's sermons for the High Holy Days will be on the topic of the Garden of Eden. An email was sent out this week that you may use as a reference for any information about High Holiday services. This email provides the Zoom links, the Slichot service, and the Torah and Haftorah readings for both Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Please join us for our Slichot presentation and service tomorrow, Saturday, September 17th at 8 p.m. Jordan Lund will be performing the one-man play As We Forgive with an Onig following at 9:15 and service at 9:30. Service will be led by Rabbi Singer and Cantor Emeritus Bob Sorotnik. We need Onig sponsors. Please call the office. Only $65. Please also donate to the High Holiday Food Drive. There are barrels in the foyer. Shabbat Shalom, and thank you very much.
Yes, Wendy has been finally doing our own eggs every Friday night. We thank her for that. But in order to do it, we have to pay for it. So we need sponsors. And there are people who are hungry in our community. So please do either bring some cans for the barrels out there, or donate online, which there's information in the weekly email. If you don't have the link for the High Holidays, come talk to me afterwards. I'll give it to you. Also, if you want to come in person, you need to RSVP, because I don't think we're going to have a huge number of people, but we're trying to keep it spacious if we can, so to keep it safe. Does anybody else have any announcements or anything they want to bring up? Sherry? Of Sunday, what Sunday? Oh, right. Come on up. You have to talk in the microphone though, because the people on Zoom can't, the only way they hear you is through the microphone.
Good evening, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. I spoke with Jerry Krautman today. He's from the Judaica Foundation, and he wanted me to mention that there are still plenty of tickets left for the Judaica concert on Sunday at the Fox. If you're interested, please don't hesitate to either contact Rabbi Singer or myself, and I can give you his phone number. Just give him a call so that he can put your name on a list, and then just come.
Thanks. Yeah, this is the concert that is using High Holiday themes, which should be kind of interesting. Now, I'd like to call Sandy back up here, because Sandy, you don't get enough exercise. You have to come up and down. You don't have to have your mask. Oh, did you leave it? Yeah, you did. Okay. That's not why I'm calling you back up. Surprise, surprise. Sandy just had a nice big birthday, but we won't tell anybody which one, even though unless you want to. You don't care. She does not look like she's 80, does she? Okay, seriously. 80 is the new 20. I don't, okay, so your friends got together to get you a leaf. So. Mazel tov. Can you sing Young Who Let It Come Out? You know
I want to add that since it was my 80th, my daughter and I went to Las Vegas.
All right.
We don't gamble and we don't drink. So I walked 24,000 steps in one day. But we saw a wonderful show, Ka, which is part of the Cirque du Soleil, and we had a wonderful buffet. And so we had a really good time.
Wonderful, excellent.
My husband hates Las Vegas, so we left him at home.
Susie, yes.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you in advance.
So just for those on Zoom, the fancy computer work in the card was done by Sherry. And Susie is the one who orchestrated the whole thing, as usual. All right. And now, let's see, we've got some, okay, some nice comments and so I'd like to thank Elliott for your beautiful music tonight, as always. And Shia for your great tech work. Shia is getting to be a real ace. You're going to get a job in the industry pretty soon as a director. Camera one, camera. We have another camera that has not been mounted yet. I'm hoping it gets mounted soon, but I'm not going to hold my breath. Things take quite a long time here. Okay. Since you guys are back after an absence, would the wards like to come up and open the Ark for the Aleinu? And we rise, and the Aleinu is on the inside cover of your prayer book.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קודעים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו השמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרמים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אף בזולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך. כי אדוני הוא האלוהים, בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. And we take a moment to think of those who are no longer with us. May their memories be for a blessing. Is anyone in Shiva Shloshim or the first year of mourning and would like to mention a name?
Patty Podner, first year.
Anybody on Zoom? Let's see.
Patty Podner, first year.
First year, Phil Bush, Edith Tanazaki, Janice Levy. First year, Stephen Alexander, Terry Cyan, Patty Podnar, first year. First year, Judith Cohen. First year, Elena Ferris. And we're also observing yard sites this Shabbat for Ralph Loeb, Roeen Loeb, Lauren Weiss, Sydney Pavelak, Louis Tarmo, Teresa Tyre, Margaret Pearsall Gailey, Alan Pasternak, Barney Bauman, Louis Reisner, Eugene A. Nazarek, Rosa Shear, Florence Halpert. Anyone observing a yard site? Anybody on Zoom observing a yard site? And of course, we think of those who perished in the Holocaust and have no one to say the mourner's Kaddish for them, page 598. And in the thin book, it's minus 118, which is, I can't do the math right now. What's 598 minus 118? 470? 480? It's one of those. If you would like to, oh, I have the book right here. If you'd like to unmute on Zoom, you may do so. It's page 294. Don't ask me. Okay, it's page 598 in the fat book and 294 in the thin book. I think because at a certain point, there are a bunch of pages that are no longer in the thin book. Okay. So we think of those who perish in the Holocaust and have no one to say the mourner's Kaddish for them, and we say the Kaddish for all those names that have been mentioned here. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei Rabba, v'alma divrach yehutei v'yamlich malhutei, v'chayachon uv'yomechon, uv'chayei lechol beit Yisrael, v'agala uv'zman karib imru, amen. Yehei shemei Rabba mevarach le'olam v'almei almaya. Yibarach v'yishtavach v'yitpa'ar v'yidromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudashah v'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, Huya aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved, as together we say, amen. And our closing song is Buena Semana, which is a Sephardic song.
From Morocco, and it's wishing everyone a good week. God give us happy and healthy week. For my children, good things. May God let them live. For naming ceremonies and circumcisions, and for putting on the tefillin. A good week. Buena semana. Buena semana nostalgia, buena semana nostalgia, buena semana nostalgia, buena semana. Buena semana nostalgia, buena semana. A mis hijos y bien decir, a mis hijos bien decir, que me los deje yo vivir buena semana. Que me los deje yo vivir buena semana. Para fadar y circuncir, para fadar y circuncir y ponerte felín, buena semana. Y ponerte felín, buena semana. Buena semana. Buena semana. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz, we give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Try to use it as a guitar pick, doesn't work.
Shabbat Shalom. Please join us for the oneg. And please, if you need the link for the high holidays, come see me. And people on Zoom, you may hang out together.
Hello. Hey. No. Hi, Joan.
Shabbat shalom.
Hello.
Joan Schneider, I have a ticket